All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. We are here for race number 2 of the Area 51 IndyCar Oval Series tonight at Kansas Speedway. As you can see, it will be 135 laps here tonight. And as always on the IndyCar Series, a little different. There will still be the one fast pair. However, no green white checkers will be issued this evening. As you can see right now, ambient temp is 70 degrees, 115 degrees track temperature, and right now showing 12:05 p.m. track time, which means it's only going to get warmer as the day goes on. So we'll have to keep an eye and see if tire wear and temperature plays a role in tonight's event. And right now, all drivers putting down their qualifying laps last week at Homestead. A great car count. Big thank you to all the drivers showing up. We have another 30 cars here tonight. Mark Murphy getting the win last week over Joe Branch and Matt Wagner. So right now, Mark with an 11-point lead, but again, still lots of racing to go. So excited to see how everything goes. And not a knock on my brother, but I've got one of the open wheel experts back in the booth with me because he's selfishly doing real life stuff last week and kind of this week, but was able to pull himself away from stuff. And Andrew, always a pleasure to have you back, sir. And it's going to be interesting to see how tonight goes. 1.5 mile oval. However, the backstretch, that slight curve to it might make it hard to get some passes done on that outside line.
Yeah, Kansas is definitely one of those tracks that both sides of the track kind of act differently, and it changes throughout the race. So I think it's a short, fast oval. It's kind of one of those cookie cutters, as some of the IndyCar fans like to call it. But based on the temperature, the rubber being put down and everything like that, the track will probably change throughout the course of the race, and these drivers are going to have to stay on top of it in order to make sure that they get those spots up at the front.
Yeah, and that's the other part too. Is there are going to be a limited set of tires here tonight. I want to say it's 4 in the pits with the one that you start off with. So tires shouldn't be an issue. It should be pretty much no dramas. A 2 pit stop race should we go start to finish. On green flag conditions, I was hearing the fuel window somewhere in the 45 to 55 window, kind of 45 if you're map 1 full send all the way around. And of course, then you start getting into the saving approach if you're in dirty air, if you're changing your fuel maps. So I was hearing maybe somewhere in that range, but I don't see anybody trying to pull a crazy fuel strategy. But of course, if and when cautions come out, it could definitely change the complexion. And also, I mean, even if we do get those green flag stops like we love to see, I think, again, that just the timing, in my mind, if you can go later, I think that's the preferred approach. I think I want to be one of the later pitters just because it's such a risk when you hit pit road and have to wait for the rest of the field to make their cycle around.
I think the yellow flag strategy is definitely something that is in the back of everyone's minds, especially with this car count here. Anything's possible, and keeping all 30 cars clean and green for the entire race, as spectacular as that would be, is probably not likely. So I bet some of these guys are already trying to think about how much they could do on one tank at the ultimate fuel save amount while still maintaining pace with the rest of the pack. So that'll be very interesting as well.
Yeah, we definitely know a couple drivers that we always look at when it comes fuel saving time. So it'll be fun to see kind of the strategies. And yeah, it'll just be interesting to see also what we see on the driver side of things. Kind of, okay, we expect to see XYZ driver up front, but then we see him further back, and it's like, okay, is that strategy? Is that just maybe not comfortable with the car? And of course, then, like you said, with this number of cars too, do you just play it safe to start this race off before really going after it later on in the run, just maybe planning on some attrition? So yeah, there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made. But again, with these guys running 25, 26 second laps, I mean, you can't give up too much time here.
We see that the leaner energy cars are 1 and 2 right now, so already getting a good start to the season for those guys. Not sure how they did last week, but I assume that they're fast enough that they'll be up at the front no matter what. But some of the bigger names in the series you see piling into the top 10 there: Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, Eric Schau, some of these guys that are up front every week, and expected for them to be up here. But I'm interested to see what some of these newer names that I'm not really familiar with at this time, but we'll get to know throughout the season how they fare with some of these veterans.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun, like you said, and say some that maybe we're not familiar with, or even more so that maybe I'm not familiar with, but who may be big names in the open wheel side of things. So yeah, there's a lot of potentials on what we expect to see on that. So with that, I believe we have got everybody with qualifying completed. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to pit lane so we can take a look at our starting lineup for tonight. And like you mentioned, you got some teammates up front. That is going to be Edson Santos and Rafael Eckert there, 1-2. Then you got Mark Murphy getting the win last week in that number 69 at Homestead. Next to him, the 96 of Jason Collins. So I've known Jason for a long time on outside of iRacing, so it's fun to see him over here. It sounds like you're also pretty familiar with him as well. So it'll be fun to see what he's got in store for everybody here tonight. Eric Schaus, love to see him back out on track. He's been a busy man the last few months with the, I wouldn't say newborn, I think 1-year-old now, but in a big move and everything. So he'll be fifth. Matt Wagner, AJ Hobson, Eric Peterson, Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth are top 10. Then you've got Chris Stouffer there with Joe Branch next to him, couple of 40 racer guys. And then Jeff Heisong, Nick Wheeler, Gary Laverne, Shane Coker, Sam Cosner, Jeremy Stanley, Hugo Galaz, Jim Herrick, Casey Pahutsky, Frank Irwin Jr., Baron Glover, and Dustin Logston. And Andrew, we're still scrolling. We still have more to go. That's going to be Mason Mitchum, Daniel Ferguson, Joseph Morales, Steve Rada, Elmer Joseph, and Bill Colley. 30 drivers here tonight. Again, it was right around that 30 number last week. Again, just big shout out to Craig and Matt and everybody. Just so much work on the back end to get everything up and running. And yeah, it's great to see this kind of a car count here tonight.
I have to say this is the most amount of cars that I've ever called in my short commentating career. So I'll have fun kind of flicking through the field trying to find the battles. Of course, we're going to be watching up.
There's another, as I have hopefully everything clears up here. I had a little bit of a hiccup on my connection side of things. But yeah, Jeremy Stanley as well. You'll see some green and black cars matching there as well. No, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what we have in store for tonight. And yeah, I mean, 2 pit stops we know for sure on fuel. Tires will be a question mark, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see kind of what strategies are going to unfold here this evening.
I guess one thing that we should mention also is at the start of the race, the drivers do not go on pace car. They have to go when the green flag is waved. So a little bit of a slow start for these guys, and hopefully some of the newer folks have gotten used to it already in practice races and such. But yeah, let's hope everyone minds their P's and Q's here, and we'll get the race going.
Yep, I was saying, I know Matt has been working on drivers, making sure that they get practice starts and restarts in. And Eric Schaus right off the bat was poking to that third lane here, trying to make something happen. And he is already up 2 spots, going to try to make it 3 there. As these guys, oh, big wreck in the back there. Oh, man, that's half the field. You see Jim Herrick. I don't know if that car is going to continue on. I think I saw Craig Forsyth. Yep, Craig had to take a quick tow. And it's exactly what you said, just that concern of the car counts and everything. And unfortunately, Chris Stouffer also had to take a tow already. So, yeah, so there's a number of cars here. Some still just trying to limp this thing back to the pits. So, Jeremy Stanley also significant damage there. So, that's of course the opposite of what you want to see there. So let's go back and see.
If we take a look at this, it looks like the initial contact was between Forsyth and Stouffer. I almost feel like Forsyth might have had some sort of mechanical problem there, because his car kind of swings down right into the path of Stouffer.
Yeah, the car just abruptly goes left.
It just seems to do something very odd there, and then it's all history from there. The rest of the field is just doing their best trying to avoid it if they can drive in a straight line as best they can. But when cars are going everywhere, it's nearly impossible to try and get through it. So we could see pretty much every single car behind Stouffer and Forsyth get a piece of it here.
Yeah,
unless the guys at the very back can slow down.
Yeah, and a number of guys kind of up and over in the air too. So yeah, that's a lot of fast repairs. Unfortunately, I think that's at least 3 of the 40 racewear cars as well there, with the 13, the 99, and the 40. So yeah, that's a tough one there, and yeah, so a lot of drivers involved there. And I think you're exactly right though, Andrew. I think from everything we're seeing there, that really looked like just something happened hardware wise almost to the 99. Like because again, it wasn't like it completely failed, but that car just turned sharp right and, or sorry, sharp left. I apologize.
Into a
And
teammate on top of that, so it
yeah,
wasn't like a chop move or anything like that. So unfortunate for the 4D guys there that two of their drivers collected a couple other ones along with them, along with most of the field here. So
yeah, and it's we know Craig so well, and I mean, even if he was fighting for position, that's just not his mo is to try to like make a big move like that. So yeah, just unfortunate. I would say we'll see. Maybe we get some insight at some point later on as to what happened, but. Yeah, just a tough start for those guys. A lot of them have taken toes. They're trying to get back up in onto the racing surface, but haven't quite got there. So right now you see Craig, you've got Chris, Gary Laverne was the other driver we saw up and over there, and then Hugo Galaz. Those guys definitely got the worst of it. It looks like the rest of the field still on the same are still on the lead lap here, so we'll still have the top 26 drivers on the lead lap as we're already 1 to green here again. There were no lap cars at the time of the yellow, so it's going to make it a bit of a quick yellow. And the other thing you had mentioned there, Andrew, is double file in the initial start. Now we go single file restart. Leader has control once the pace car's off the racing surface, so we'll have teammates restarting here 1-2.
yeah, I'm counting. I think 5 cars were in the pits here. That was on the initial. That was probably from the toe. So let me count one more time here and see who came in on the second time around. Doesn't look like anyone else. I think it was just a total of 5 cars down pit road, all taking the fast repair or exiting the race. Oh yeah, actually, I made
I
a
see
liar
a
of
couple
myself.
rolling.
Yeah, I got a couple at the it's just topped off in the back as well. So probably about 8 or 9 cars all together hit pit, and looks like we have just about everybody else re-entering the track again. Stouffer's re-entering, Gals is re-entering, Gary Lovern
Yep.
is re-entering.
So, I mean, it's good news at least. I think that puts them 2 down if I'm not mistaken, but we're going to get back up front here. Edson has control, and he is down away, gets a great jump over his teammate there. And then, of course, we talk about it, then everybody's got to try to do the same thing, kind of be careful and start making sure no accordion effects. And looking like a nice, clean start front to back there, as you can
Joe
see.
Branch makes a great move around the outside of 2 cars on that restart there. So I think Peterson might have been sleeping a little bit, caught Matt Wagner by surprise, and next thing you know, Joe was able to take advantage. So good move from Branch there.
Yeah, you see right there now, a lot of these guys are kind of hanging on that outside. Oh, contact Peterson. Got left or right front to left rear there, loops it around, will stay green as he's off the racing surface. I think he'll be okay as well. That car doesn't look too damaged, and I think as long as
It
he's
just looked like a tap, so I think you're right. I think we're all good there.
so yeah, as long as the car stays pointed forward here, we should be okay. But problem is he's going to be right on edge of getting put a lap down because he's still trying to build speed back up, and Edson's going to be heading over there with a big head of steam. And while we watched all that, Rafael Eckert actually lost a couple spots to Mark Murphy and Eric Schaus, so put them second and third. And yeah, there goes Peterson there getting put a lap down. Again, just trying to build speed back up, and yeah, just trying to, I'm sure, get kind of feel comfortable again. But unfortunate start for him as well now.
I could definitely tell that some of the cars are pushing out of turn 4, so that probably contributed to that wreck as well with Peterson. He probably had just a little too much push in the car and unfortunately just touched Joe Branch's left rear there and sent him down into the infield. So it was unfortunate, but I think Eric's all right. You'll just kind of tag on to the back of the front pack here and hope for a caution to come his way or a fortunate pit stop staying out or something to that matter.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Is right now he is in that lucky dog spot. They do the lucky dogs here in the IndyCar series, so right now he would be the first car 1 down, which great for him. The drivers that are a couple down, like Stouffer, Forsyth, Hugo and company, they're not so keen on it because they want to try to get their laps back. And so it's exactly like you said, Andrew. They're gonna have to try to think of some strategy potentials here. As you see, Nick DeGroot just gets around AJ Hobson there. Move Nick up into 4th. He's up 5 spots from his starting position. But we've got some big climbers here a little further back here. Mason Mitchum in the 3. He's up 12 positions already from 25th to 13th. And then also Elmer Joseph up 13 spots all the way up into the 16th spot. So those guys obviously staying out of trouble, but then also making some good moves to jump forward here early.
Yeah, some of these guys, especially at the back, saw that wreck coming, probably said, nope, I'm just going to park myself right down here on the apron and wait for all the cars to stop flipping all over the track and I'll pick up about 7 or 8 spots just by driving by some wrecked Alara chassis there. So good on those guys, and let's see if they can continue to hang in those spots, and not just fall right back down to their qualifying order again.
Yeah, and for a moment there, Mark Murphy had the lead again. Last week's winner, he jumped to the front there. Now Edson Santos getting the swing back by there in the 20. Is this a big enough track where you can do the swap draft if you're cooperating with each other? Or is this one of those ones where it's just right now they're just kind of being nice and not protecting the inside, and also maybe trying to keep that wheel a little bit opened up to avoid too much tire wear?
I would say that it's probably not a good swap drafting situation, mostly because when you're on these tracks where you're completely foot to the floor the whole way around, it's very hard to get any sort of advantage, especially if you have guys third, fourth, fifth fuel saving and everything. They could potentially go faster. So it's very hard to break away. But once the tire wear starts to come into effect, especially on a hotter track, then you possibly could have something going, but that's going to be very setup dependent. And I think on a fixed setup like this, where it's very neutral and everyone's kind of driving it in such a way that is very neutral, I don't think a swap draft is very effective at all. It's mostly just try and sit behind someone and save as much fuel as you can is your best strategy.
Yeah, right now it seems like Mark and Edson have kind of been going back and forth. Again, maybe not a planned swap draft, but kind of just doing it on their own, if you will. And like you mentioned as well for Peterson here, he's just been kind of, like you said, tagged on into third, able to hold that comfortably. We mentioned Nick DeGroot already. He's working his way up, continuing. And then I got to go back to, we talked about that car flying through the air earlier. Jim Herrick, he was able to get back to Pirro, get the fast pair, and he's all the way back up to 14th as well. And I'm saying that's just showing from where he started was +6, but obviously we know he restarted way further back, so pretty impressive for Jim here to be able to recover as well as he has here, again, only on lap 16 right now.
Yeah, and I think that is some veteran advantage there, kind of what we were talking about before, that some of these guys that have done this for years now, like Jim Herrick, racing around some of these guys towards the back that are still just getting used to how everybody drives around them, everyone's styles and everything, and they see Jim kind of going, all right, he looks like he knows what he's doing. Maybe I'll just let him by and see if I can learn from him. And you could just easily pick up 5 or 6 spots just doing something that simple. Yeah, no,
it definitely, they make it look easy for sure. Right now we're looking at Casey Behutsky right here along with Frank Irwin Jr., and then I was watching just behind them, Christopher. He's pretty much got the bit between his teeth right now. He's just trying to get all the track position he can. I don't think he's worrying about going off strategy. I think he's just going to try to get as far forward as he can over the course of this run. And again, like we mentioned there, right now Eric Peterson being the first car one down, that would put him in the wave round spot. So right now, unfortunately, Chris wouldn't be in that position, but right behind here, we got a really good battle here with third, fourth, and fifth there, Schaus, Hobson, and DeGroot. And they're going to go three wide out of 4, and they will make it work. There you saw a little bobble out of Hobson, but able to hang on to it nicely.
Yeah, that you can see that top line is starting to come in now. Tires are starting to wear a little bit, so let's go up onto the highest part of the track where the most banking is. Help steer the car, put a little bit more pressure on the right rear instead of the right front, and you'll start to see these guys later in the stint here migrate their way slowly up towards the top, where it doesn't seem that it's faster because you're going the longer way around the track, obviously, but you could just carry so much speed if you could just find the right line there. So some of these cars will enter maybe middle, kind of wash up high and see how it is up there, and then kind of come back down low again. And that's what I saw Nick doing those last few laps, and look at him now. He's managed to find his way up right behind the leaders.
Yeah, surprised there. Looked like he had the momentum going up top, and he decided to back it down and cut it to the bottom there. So, yeah, a little surprised there. But again, like you said, maybe just throwing the anchor down a little bit, getting himself in the best spot he can be while still being able to save some fuel, and also probably that clean air through the turns like you mentioned. So, do want to mention, have a few chiming in on YouTube. So, Jamie, as always, man, appreciate you hopping in and supporting us. Then Leandro Silver, and I'm going to butcher the name there, so I'm going to guess it's Jonatas Martins with Go Leaner. I believe that is in support of those two fellows you talked about, those teammates, the 20 and the 064, Edson Santos and Rafael Eckert. So yeah, appreciate you guys being over here. And right now, I'll say we're on 22 of 135. Right now, again, Edson, our pole sitter, only dropped one spot right now, sitting in second. And as everybody's, I say, there's still obviously lots of battles. Joe Branch working his way forward. I was just watching right now Nick Wheeler working with Jeff Hysong. And same thing for Nick here, has gained a handful of spots there. And this battle with Frank Irwin Jr. continues on there with Mason Mitchum. So yeah, a lot of good close battles here throughout the pack.
Yeah, Eric is starting to trickle backwards as well now that Nick has gotten by him. Eric Peterson, I should say. Nick DeGroot's gotten by with Rafi Eckert as well. So Eric's falling farther and farther away from getting that lap back. But not much you could do once the tires start to wear, and especially his are probably a little bit more chewed up because of his trip through the grass there. So if he could stay where he is, that's probably the best situation he could find himself in right now. And yeah, you just look right behind them. The AJ Hobson tried that outside move that I had just referenced before, and it looks like he's going to try and get to Eric Shouston. Right, get there, and here comes Matt Wagner to take advantage.
Yeah, and that shows how much momentum means in these cars, where he just had to roll out of the throttle a tiny bit, and Matt took full advantage of that. And also shows, like you said, all these cars, I think, are migrating to the top, like you had mentioned, because it seems like that momentum is starting to really build there. But yeah, options though in my mind for an Eric Peterson, someone like that, is just save fuel at this point. If you can go map 5, run map 5, or whatever the lowest you can go, or I guess highest fuel map you can go without losing the pack there. So I think that's going to be his best bet, to hope that these guys are burning more fuel than him, and then he can go those couple extra laps, because again, we're not hoping for it, but we have seen a tendency of cautions during the pit stop cycle, and so that's that risk versus reward of being up front, running that fast map 1 versus maybe backing it down and saving fuel. So it'll be interesting to see kind of that strategy. But again, we still got at least 20 more laps, I'd say, before we see any scheduled pit stops here.
If you want a lesson, look no further than Chris Stover. He's 2 laps down, but he has planted himself directly up against the wall all the way around the track, and he's making it work, getting by Joe Branch before. Now he's going by AJ Hobson, and he actually did touch the wall a little bit on the entry to turn 1 last lap, but he is the one putting on the clinic right now, showing how it's done. And you were mentioning Nick DeGroot before and how he didn't really go for the lead before, and I think that mostly is because he's not ready to give away his cards just yet on lap 20 of the race, or whenever it was.
Oh, Steve Rada had a moment there. We'll go back, see if we can take a look. And it looks like maybe just gets, or does he catch the wall? Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, right behind there, Bill Colley does the same. And so he does a big loop through the grass there. But again, I think we will stay green. We'll jump back live because he just kind of did some spins. And you see right here, this is also a very, very just gentleman move here. Just rolling the apron, not trying to merge up right away in the middle of the pack. So big, just really good kind of sportsmanship there from Steve. Just trying to make sure he merges on safely, and I avoid kind of bringing out an untimely yellow. So, but yeah, you're right though. With Chris Stover, I mean, he's restarted in the back of the pack, and he is driven through the field here. So, like I said, I think he's thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go get my lap back the old-fashioned way. If I can get from 2 to 1 down, catch that timely caution before pit stops, I could be right back into the thick of this thing. So I'm liking the aggression here out of Chris.
Yeah, last lap, he and Eric Peterson came very close to contact, and I'm sure Eric had some PTSD from early in the race hitting Joe Branch. So the two of them got away with it, and as you can see, Stover puts another one down. He does touch the wall again there a little bit, so you could definitely tell with the wall touches like that he's really going for it. It's I'm putting my car as high as humanly possible against this wall, and touch it be damned. So. And he has to be careful, though, because if he bangs up the side pod a little bit too much, he's already used the fast repair after the incident. So that could come back to bite him a little bit if he takes a little bit too big of a bite out of the apple.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And right now, Mark Murphy, he's been able to kind of settle in now to lead. It looks like things have backed it down a little bit. Again, that might be strategy with these guys. You know what? Let's not go full fuel. For an Edson, a Nick, and a Raphael, because right now they're all comfortably here together. Matt Wagner's about a second and a half behind them, but not risk of losing the draft or anything because he's got Chris Stover, who we just mentioned, kind of has that ladder in between the two of them. So right now, but the field definitely starting to spread out, so I think that's showing that tires are really starting to play a role in how you've taken care of them and if you're able to move forward or if you're falling back at this point.
You could definitely tell. Excuse me.
Oh, Peterson there, or sorry,
Got a little
Schaus
bit of
and
incident,
Hobson
yeah.
both in the wall there out of 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hobson just kind of dragged Schaus up there with him. You get stuck on the outside there, and there's no clean air whatsoever allowed. So that's unfortunate for them, but they got away with it, and now they're going to find themselves battling with some of the guys that were right behind them. But I was mentioning before that I find it kind of interesting that everybody is doing something different still. Like I thought most of the drivers would be right up on against the wall around the whole track by now, but I don't know if it's a clean air thing that people are searching for in their groups of 3 or 4, but there are people that are still trying to take that low line and not really getting the move done and may not be faster, but they're still trying to play around with it. So as much as they know that the high line is faster, it's always still good to go down low and see what's down there and how you can get a little bit of an advantage that your other competitors don't know about.
Yeah, and also too, if it's like, well, hey, I gotta learn something. Yeah, I just saw a little puff of smoke there once more from Chris. Like I said, he's not giving any margin for error. He's just giving it everything he's got. As well, actually, we'll jump over to Nick Wheeler, AJ Hobson here. Nick was rolling the top really well this time. AJ took the top, so Nick's gonna try the bottom. But it's exactly like you said here, that momentum up top is just very, very strong. And at this point, we've now safely got a 5-car breakaway. Matt's just hanging on to the edge of that group, but AJ Hobson now about 2.2 seconds back. So we're starting to see that separation like we talked about with kind of managing tires and how everybody's doing. So right now, these are definitely the 4 or 5 fastest cars at the moment on track. But like I said, I'm still going to be watching Chris because based on the pace, Stouffer's probably going to be one of the first ones to hit pit road, I would suspect.
Yeah, you can see that the guys up ahead of him now are also trying to put their cars up high, kind of like I was mentioning before. These are the guys that are going to be the hardest to pass, and they know that the high line is the way to go. So Stouffer climbed all the way from middle back part of the pack, and he's up here with the leaders. So if anybody else he passes not using the high line to try and close the gap a little bit, that's what they should be doing to get some time back. But at this point in the run, it's good to just kind of stay where you are, maintain your position, grab some fresh tires on pit road, and take it from there for the next stint.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good point too, is he's worked so hard. This might be time now to just get some fuel saving done and kind of maybe get a little bit back that you can, because like you said, you're kind of locked in at this point where you are. And actually, I think he may have, as I think his are starting to fall off too, because now he's actually fallen back to the clutches of Matt Wagner. And it was a really good battle there for a second there. I just caught in the corner of my eye there, Nick Wheeler, AJ Hobson. So jumped over to them. This time Nick's going to hold the outside. This should let him clear, I would think, entering 3. And yeah, so move Nick Wheeler now up into 6th there. 8 spots up for that 88 car.
Yeah, I'm watching some of these guys in the mid-pack here, and everybody's starting to have a lot of problems. Turn 4 now. I saw Jeff Haisong last lap just clapped the wall right on the exit there and lost a spot or 2. And I think he might have actually damaged the side pod a little bit because he's lost even more positions.
Yeah, I think Herrick's had a moment too. As that car's way off pace here. So, unfortunately, I'd say I think he may have also caught the wall. So, and again, this is now where I talked about where maybe trying to run it long on fuel. I'm getting a little nervous if I'm going to be one of those early pitters because, like you said, these cars, especially some of those mid-pack, are really starting to struggle. I think, I think Herrick's had enough. He's hitting pit road here on 42. So I think either maybe some damage lingering or just as like this car, just it's not got what I need. So, but yeah, the field's really stretching out now up front here though, Andrew. I mean, Raphael's got almost 7/10 now on Mark Murphy, about a second to Groot, another second to Santos, 7/10 to Matt Wagner. So yeah, field's very, very spread out. Now, like I said, that the very end of this fuel run here, all these guys are starting to have that handling issue.
Yeah, I saw Stouffer collected the wall again in turn 4, not riding the wall. He just kind of found his way up there battling with Wagner. And
yeah, no, you're good at saying I'm poking around a little bit here.
Cracking. So I think that we're gonna start seeing some of these guys. I didn't actually see Rafi Eckert take the lead from Murphy, but I guess that had happened at some point.
That's not going to be a clean entry for Haisung. That's going to be an unsafe entry, I'm pretty sure. And so this will be a good tell here, though. So you just had Jim Herrick, he pitted. So Jeff Haisung, Bill Collier also in pit road. I want to see what these new tires, possibly again with maybe a slightly hurt car for Jim Herrick, but I want to see what these fresh tires possibly can do for Herrick here, because I feel like he should probably just be able to swing right on by But right now, and like you mentioned, I didn't see the lead change either. But caution's out. That's kind of what we're worried about there.
We have Jeremy Stanley kind of backwards on the front straightaway. He's back going again. That is going to imply to me probably a bad pit entry.
Yeah, or did that car just finally give up on the pit entry? So we'll go back here. We'll try to take a look.
Oh, it's self-spin.
Let's see. So we'll jump it back here to the yellow. Oh, he straddled the apron there. So that's something we haven't talked about is these cars do not like the transition of banking and the flat. So you can see right here, he's running the bottom. Right there, he starts to split the seam. And yeah, at that point, you're usually pretty much just along for the ride here. So not a pit stop mistake, just a little bit too low there. Also, the car is probably just trying to survive and just keeps it off the wall. Honestly, if that spin had happened just a tiny bit earlier, probably winds up not even throwing a yellow there. So that's going to be, I think, a big sigh of relief for the leaders because we were on 45, 46. I think that pit stop window was just about to happen. But now, I mean, there's really no strategy. All these leaders, everybody's going to hit pit road, take their fresh tires, probably all very grateful for it as well. And then the only ones who I think will wave, so what should happen is I believe Peterson should be the wave around car, and I think he's already, or no, did Peterson pit? No, he did not.
Yeah, no, I mean, all the cars that were lapped down, Herrick, Peterson, Stouffer stayed out, but they have the opportunity to pit next lap, which I believe all of them will.
They'll have to, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's been out for almost a full stint now.
So Peterson should be waving around. That's going to put him back on the lead lap in the 36 car. Jim Herrick, though, he can wave around. I think he is right now sitting at 2 down after the pit stop. So this should put him back to 1 down since he had just pitted about 5 laps prior. And then from there, yeah, unfortunately, like you said, Stouffer, Forsyth, Hugo Glass, they will have to pit. I would suspect Jeff Heisong, Bill Cawley, and Gary Laverne had all just pitted. So same thing. If they're ahead of the leaders, they should be able to wave on around. But looking for where Gary is, that won't be the case. And I think it's the same thing for Bill here. So I think I'm trying to see where Jeff is on track too. So actually, no, Jeff's too far back also. But we've got a gamble being taken here. And honestly, not the worst gamble here. Craig's Forsyth was probably just full fuel save that run. So I think what he's banking on is, you know what, I'm going to stay out, get one of my laps back, hope for a quick yellow, and then I can get a pit stop with only being 1 lap down instead of 2. So that's my assumption of what's going through the head of the 99 car right now.
Yeah, pretty standard pit cycle. I didn't see anybody lose spots or gain spots. It looks like Eckert is still the leader with Mark Murphy 2nd, Nick DeGroot 3rd, Edson Santos 4th, Wagner 5th. I think Wheeler might have picked up a spot or 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. He had been moving up, though. He's been having a really good run in that 88 car. Like I said, up 8 spots. So he and DeGroot of the top 6 have moved the most. But then I'm looking just outside the top 10, though, here. You've got Frank Irwin Jr. there in the Carvana car. He's up 11 spots, 14 spots right behind him for Daniel Ferguson in that 23. Mason Mitchum there up 12 spots in the 3. So some big gains for those guys. And then also Casey Putsky up 7 and then Baron Glover up 8. So again, obviously there's been some attrition early, but also, I mean, like you said, I mean, you still have to work your way up there at some point or another. So really good job by those guys. And yeah, I'm going to be very intrigued, though, to see how this goes for Craig, because if we go green, he's not going to have too long before he's going to have to hit pit road here. So this is definitely a gamble, but again, when you're trapped 2 down, your options, I feel like, are pretty limited. So I think this is worth a gamble for Craig.
It's definitely worth something, especially when you're back there at that rate. Your race is basically done unless you do something completely different. My big question is that we had a lot of these cars slap the wall out of turn 4. I've seen at least 7 or 8 cars that had contact there. So I'm wondering if people use fast repairs and they don't have any left. Do you have any information on who has fast repairs left by chance? Or?
No, unfortunately, I'd say that's one thing I would love to have is we could see like if one was used or not. I do want to do some more digging to see if maybe there is something that we can find that, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this has been burned and all that. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's one of those things where they don't want to give too much info away for on the competition side of things. That way, drivers have some sort of like kind of something in their back pocket, if you will. It was like, oh, you don't know if I have it or not yet. So, yeah. So unfortunately, no idea on my side, but we're gonna get back to green here. Our front row, well, not front row. Row 2 is gonna be Rafael Eckert and Mark Murphy. And then Nick DeGroot there, and our pole sitter Edson Santos in 4th. And we are back underway here, starting lap number 50.
Looks like a clean start from the field. I don't see any checking up in the back, which is a great restart from everyone. If you remember last season, we had quite a few issues with that in the first couple of races, but everybody has figured out how to. We got a spinner in the back. Sam Cosner kind of lost the rear a little bit, but he saved it somehow. Just happened to catch that at the back of my eye there. But everyone's still going. Just a half spin there. That seems to really bottle up. So look at this mess all the way at the back of the field here.
Yeah, it really stacked everybody up, and yeah, it's pretty busy. And I say we saw the smoke come off of it. I say didn't quite catch it, but yeah, right now everybody's looks like able to kind of regroup and get back after it. And yeah, it's exactly like you said though. That was one where Craig's like, no, go ahead, finish the spin. Don't save it for me. And then once he saves it, it's like, man, why'd you have to be a good driver?
Yeah, I already see a couple people washing out to the exit of the turn 4 wall, and got to be careful there. If you're in a damaged side pod, you're not going to have any speed left to finish this race and be up there for the win. So the top 10, top 12 really are all kind of staying in a decent gap to one another. No one's really made any big move towards the beginning, towards the front of this. So we're looking to be in lockstep right now, but it'll start to pack up little by little.
Yeah, and the other thing that happened is that little slide, though, it's really separated the field out. So you've got to pretty much about Dustin Logston. They're within pretty much touching distance of the lead pack still, pretty much as they come out of turn 2, leaders are entering 3. But then you go a fair bit back now to get to right now. This is a 57 car of Hugo Galaz leading that group. But yeah, so it's really spaced this field out, which again makes it tough for some guys like Craig Forsyth. He's trying to fuel save, but now he's lost so much track position. Or now even if he does pit, he's gonna he'll probably go from 1 down to 3 down. So it was a gamble. We'll see if it pays off or not. He's still got probably a little bit of time before he has to pit. Again, we heard about that 45 to 55 lap window. And then of course we've had those couple yellows. So I mean, I would realistically think if he was full saving, maybe lap 60, 65, I think would be the furthest until we see that 99 hit pit road.
Joe Branch, AJ Hobson side by side for 2 laps straight now, going for P7, I believe. Yeah, AJ really can't make a lot of work on the bottom, but he could really send it in there in turn 1 and get a little bit of an advantage, and then Joe just kind of keeps it high. I think Joe might have the spot now unless AJ makes another move, but that was good racing side by side for two laps straight there. It looks like AJ's going to try the top now. Saw it work for Joe, and let's see if he is able to get the advantage. Unfortunately, the two of these guys side by side is just going to lose ground towards the cars up ahead.
Yeah, so they've fallen to about 6/10 off Nick Wheeler. It hasn't gotten too bad yet. I think the fresh tires are probably helping their cause not fall too far back. Also, we've had a good little dice right here. Mark Murphy's taking the point pretty safely. And now Edson, Rafael, and Nick here all having a good little battle here just inside that top 5. Then I was peeking a little bit further back there. Eric Schaus was starting to creep up on those guys. You see now he's going to jump inside of Joe Branch. But then I was watching behind him. Jason Collins is starting to try to move a little bit further forward. He's been fighting with Frank Irwin Jr. Then Daniel Ferguson, Mason Mitchum, they've been starting to creep into that mix. So they've had a pretty good 4-car packet. I think Steve Rada, he's off the racing surface. You see their rear wing is broken, but again, I think he'll get away with it, though. Yeah, you see this car's limping. That's some pretty significant suspension damage. So I think he's going to try to bring that thing back to pit road, but we'll see. But right now, again, he's far enough off track that it will stay green for the moment. So we'll keep an eye and see if anything changes on our side. But it looks like I think he's going to probably... Looks like he's kind of slowing down to take a tow, I have a feeling, but that looked like that was probably a contact off of 4 having to correct it. And
he's
yeah,
still there.
lap, he's still trying. All right, well, Craig's on pit road. He could only go to 59, so he waited as long as he could. And so unfortunately, he's had to give in and take his pit stop. And I can tell you now that 8 has towed to pit road. So yeah, so we'll see how much Craig loses here. But like I said, I think it'll probably bump him down to 3 down.
AJ Hobson picks up another spot, P6 from Nick Wheeler, doing that outside move. I think he was watching enough of the Christopher show that he wants to give it a try now. So he's up to P6 now, and I could see him going from...
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on him. And yeah, you mentioned right now lap. He was about 3/10 quicker than Matt Wagner the previous lap. And the only thing you'll always wonder too is like, is he maybe burning his stuff up too much using the top side? Is it kind of building heat worse or not? So that'll be one thing to keep an eye on is right there. Oh man, super close there. And then that's actually a nice little exit, I think, where you kind of inner high and then cut it back down off the exit there. So we'll see if that helps out too. So again, it kind of pulls him out of that dirty air of Matt Wagner's seat. Now Matt's kind of drifted up a little bit too. So I think that's going to, he saw what AJ was doing and said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little harder for you.
I see that Edson Santos has now moved up to the top position ahead of Mark Murphy. So he's holding the P1 spot now, the pin. And yeah, it looks like the top 3 have sort of moved into a position here where they're sort of taking control of this race, and the rest of the guys are just trying to find out how they can get up there and take advantage of a higher spot.
Yeah, right now I feel like these have been by far the 4 best cars. Have been Edson Santos, Mark Murphy, Rafael Eckert, Nick DeGroot. But here comes Craig Forsyth. I think right now I'm going to wait for my timing scoring to update, but I believe he sits, like I mentioned, I think he's at 3 down. But so this is where Craig's going to probably have to, again, be aggressive here. See if he can get around Mark Murphy, which will then let him get around Edson and then put himself to the point. So yeah, right now Craig is 3 down. And so it's actually worth the gamble. Should he be able to get around these 2, he'll be right back where he was, just a little worse track position, of course.
Shouts in the wall. That was a weird sort of tap in the wall he had out of turn 4 there.
Yeah, you can see momentum's definitely gone on that car. Now he's probably just trying to feel out, does he have any suspension damage or is it going to rotate okay?
I think he put too much weight jacker in the car in a very weird spot. And the exit of turn 4, the car pitched to the left, and then he kind of was trying to collect it, and it brought him up to the wall.
I think he's
very good save. Still contact, but that could have been a much bigger incident. And good job, Jason Collins and Joe Branch, for seeing that there was some trouble up ahead and doing their best to avoid it. But Schaus did kind of plant himself on the wall, so I think everybody was able to really take good avoidance there.
Yeah, and I was saying same thing. We were just talking about, obviously, for Craig. That's why he's fighting tooth and nail here. He wants to get back to 2 down because, again, same thing. If that caution comes out and he's behind those guys, again, he'll have to take the wave around if they pit. But whereas if he can wait and get to basically a caution comes out when he's still just 2 down, it opens up a lot more opportunities for him. But right now, I say he's having a hard time finding a way to do anything with this duo in front of him with Edson Santos, Mark Murphy. Rafael, he's fallen back again just a little bit now, back to Nick DeGroot there. Mac Wagner's creeped into the mix. And then also Bradalon, AJ Hobson, Nick Wheeler. So yeah, so these guys are starting to call themselves back up into this fight.
Top 3 has now become the top 7 as these guys all continue to chase the leaders down. But I think the only way you're really going to get any sort of advantage is doing the Christopher Highline, which you saw in the last stint. Clawed him up from mid-pack all the way to the top 4 very easily.
Oh, caution's out. I think I see the 20. Yeah, Casey Bahutsky around. And that's going to put us back under yellow. We'll take a look and see what exactly happened. But again, yeah, looks like I say car looks to be tracking okay. So it may have just one of those things where we've seen them before. They'll catch, kind of maybe just catch the wall out of 4 and that loops it around. And I think that's exactly what we're just about to see. So you see it at the time of contact. Let's back it up. And yeah, just out of the groove, it looks like here, Andrew. So you can see he's running high, and the car's just not rotating. Probably a lot of dirty air from those 2 in front of him. And then right there, you just kind of catch the wall, and then it's just going to throw him to the infield. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. He gets a little bit of help from, I think, the 23 of Daniel Ferguson. But again, I mean, this is also super slow-mo, but for Daniel, it's going to look like that car just kind of stomped on the brakes in front of him. And so probably a little bit of nose damage, nose cone to the 23, which, again, should be repairable without a fast repair. And I think Casey might get away without having to do a fast repair either. So we'll jump back up front here before pit stops happen here so we can see what the plan is. I think if you're Craig Forsyth, you stay out no matter what. And I believe, I'm trying to see if it was Jim Herrick or Jim Herrick or Eric Schaus that got the wave around. So I'm waiting for that. But I can tell you, as you can see, leaders are all in. We'll jump over to Jim Herrick. And we should see him swing on by if everything is showing correctly here.
One good news we got here, Gael, is that it will not be a fuel save because 55 laps is too much. 65 laps is too much.
Yeah, so no, we'll definitely one more stop to the end. And yeah, so there goes Jim Herrick. So that's going to put Jim now back onto the lead lap. And I think actually somehow Eric Schaus also, if I'm not mistaken, looking for Eric here on track, I think he's actually also tailing the lead lap in this whole process. So pretty impressive for him to have that get in, get out, and without losing that extra lap. So I'm just kind of waiting to see everything to update on my side. And so what should happen now is all these guys from Jeff Heisong to Bill Colley, their tail end of one. So once they wave around, they'll be one down. And then, of course, we mentioned the gamble call by Craig did not pay off. So he's going to go from 3 down to 2 down as he was not able to get around the leaders. So unfortunately, the gamble did not pay off for Craig. Actually kind of cost him a lap, if anything. That said, though, I think without that half spin we talked about on the restart, though, I think he would have been able to cycle out in front of the leaders otherwise. But I think he just, with that checkup, lost too much time to the leaders, and that's kind of all she wrote for that strategy.
Well, I wonder, actually, because everyone's got to do one more stop, and I believe Craig might also have to do only one more stop.
Yes.
So if he is way off strategy and everyone does their pit, he actually may wind up benefiting another lap. I think he still needs one wave around to get on the lead lap, but because he's so far off strategy right now, I believe he can get a timely yellow, get another wave around, and get back on the lead lap before the end of the race. But I think a lot needs to fall into place there in order for that to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things to go his way. Like I said, his teammate and 4D Racer owner Jim Herrick, he is back on the lead lap now. So say that wave around, obviously a great break for him. And also it looks like a lengthy stop here for Casey Pahutsky now rolling out. But he was sitting on pit road for just about 2 minutes. So I'm guessing some significant repairs there too. Not 100% sure if he'll be lead lap or one down. I'm waiting for that to update as well, which we'll get here in just a moment. But we're about to see those. I mean, here's our leader, Edson Santos. Look at all these cars ahead of him that have to wave by here on the one to go.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of cars there. But they're all going to be back to lead lap again. So that would mean Haisong, Stouffer.
I think they're still one down.
They're still one down, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But they did gain a lap, though.
They gained the lap back, yeah.
And like you mentioned, too, this doesn't change anything. They can still make it on one more stop from here. They just have to pit sooner. So that's...
Yes, yeah, they have to pit sooner. And then if they get back out on track and then a yellow comes out, then they get a full lap back plus a way around if they decide to stay out.
So yeah,
and it's interesting strategy to, especially as if a late caution comes. We've seen this many times in this league before, where cautions start to pile up on one another. So it may be worth the risk to just stay out on the next stop as well. If a caution comes out right before the leaders pit again, and then hope that a quick caution comes out, you could get your free pit stop and you could get a lap back that way.
Yep. And the other thing to mention is I don't think it's going to be an issue for tonight, but they've used now, this will be their second set of tires that they've used, which means they'll have 2 more left in the pit. So I think there'll still be no drama there. But of course, that is something still for us to keep an eye on. And I can tell you all the wave around cars have caught back up. So the Lucky Dog battle is going to be busy. But we're back to green here. Edson Santos leading Mark Murphy, Rafael Eckert. Again, as always, we got to kind of keep watching through the field. And so far, so good. A big stack up there in the back. You see the 13.
Very back, yeah.
I was saying they were still kind of catching back up to the field, so yeah, so that's where things get a little dicey. But looks like so far, since everybody's done a good job getting back up to speed, and so no big dramas so far on this restart either. And we've got 61 to go here at the line. And right now, Mark Murphy is in the sandwich of those two teammates, Edson and Rafael. And look at Rafael worked it outside line. He's going to get both of them here out of 2.
The middle part of the top 10 here just kind of staying pretty even keeled. Everyone's spread out kind of like the last couple of restarts, so no real big, very close there with Mark Murphy and Edson Santos coming down towards start finish. They managed to get away cleanly there. Your top 10 remains mostly the same players. No one's really moved up too much. We can see that Frank Irwin Jr. is now in the top 10. Mason Mitchum is now working on him to try and steal that 10th spot away.
Yeah, good little fight here between those two cars. And again, these are 2 of our higher climbers as well, up 12 and 14 spots for these 2 guys. So again, really good run. And you mentioned earlier, like, let's see if they can stay up there, and they have. They've done an awesome job tonight of maybe taking advantage of the initial incident, getting through it. But then from then on, I mean, they've been holding that track position, done a great job with strategies and even just the long run pace too. So definitely hats off to those guys. Still obviously just under half the race left to go, but still really impressed what they've gotten so far. And again, some names and faces for me to learn that I haven't obviously had a chance to race or broadcast much lately. But up front though, I'm not sure what Rafael found, but he is gone.
Yeah, it looks like the Edson and Mark Murphy battle might have gotten a little too heavy, and that allowed Rafi Eckert to pull away quite a bit there. If these 2 guys don't sort it out, it's going to continue to grow from there. So once they get single file like they have now they can start to work to claw those positions back.
Yeah, you see Nick DeGroot, he's been able to jump underneath Edson Santos. That's going to be for the 3rd spot. He's got the position on entry. We'll see if he can keep the power down, though, out of 4, and he will. So move DeGroot up to 3rd. Matt Wagner's starting to join that fray as well here. So we've got the top 5. Well, we've got 2nd through 4th all together. I said they still got some work to catch Eckert. And even that last lap, though, Mark Murphy was 2/10 slower than Eckert. So we'll watch to see what this lap does, but he's still just in the draft window. But like I said, that 64 car, he's got something. That car is very comfortable for him, and he's able to really wheel it.
I'm wondering if Edson might have picked up some damage somewhere, because now he's fallen to P4 behind Wagner. So he may have had a clip at the wall and starting to lose a little bit of speed. Or he might have just gotten a little bit out of sync with everyone that was kind of keeping their lines going, and it kind of just pushed him back a little bit. So let's keep an eye on him and make sure that he doesn't have a problem with the car.
Yeah, so far it looks like he's hanging on okay now, but you're right. I mean, even AJ Hobson, he's gained a ton of time on him as well. Lap time wise, again, still the 64, still the quickest car on track, just under a 10th or so. But I mean, again, it's grown to 1.5 seconds. So right now, Rafael, I mean, he's setting sail here, and it's basically forcing the other driver's hands, like, hey, catch me if you can. But then again, got to go back to the Lucky Dog battle. Right now, Eric Schaus, the last car in the lead lap. Right now, though, for the Lucky Dog spot, it's Jeff Hysong who has that position. Or sorry, Christopher has the position over Jeff Hysong. You see the gap there. So right now, still a fair bit of space between those two. So probably Chris doesn't have to push too hard yet, because again, Eric Schaus is the last on the lead lap, and he is in the back of that pack. But I mean, we know Schaus has pace, so probably not too much of a concern there. But still probably another just under 10 laps, I'd say, before the fuel window opens to make it to the end. But again, with the way this race has gone, we know you're going to run this thing out as long as you can, bare minimum fuel to make it to the end, and then kind of see how everything shakes out.
Yeah, see Edson's kind of falling back even more. He's in 6th place and kind of losing ground to those leaders, so I'm wondering if he has some sort of problem with the car.
Yeah, like I said, maybe cut the wall somewhere, maybe a little bit of damage somewhere that we just weren't able to quite catch. So we'll have to keep an eye, or maybe same thing, maybe just got those tires really angry. But the other thing I'm noticing is he's really running the bottom now, though. We've seen like a lot of these guys would kind of move top. He's pretty much just hugging that white line through the turns. As soon as I say that, nope, there he goes. He stays bottom.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing.
But yeah, so right now they've held pretty well station. You can see though Joe Branch, he's catching up to Jason Collins. Jason's been catching Nick Wheeler. Like I said, they're all kind of coming right together here, just inside that top 10. You see Joe Branch all over the back of that number 96 car. And we'll see entering and saying there's that decision Joe has to make. Okay, what lane is Jason going to take? All right, he went top. I'm going to go low. And then I have to hope that I get some clean air. And so he's just got the rear wing there to the rear of the 96, and he'll be able to get low. But now it's all that momentum here out of 4.
Looks like they're catching Edson as well. He lost another position to Nick Wheeler, so Collins and Branch will probably catch him before long. So yeah, something's wrong with Santos' car because he went from the lead all the way down to P7 and probably going to drop out of the top 10 before long.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye, and that might be one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not able to keep pace up. Maybe I do think about pitting, either maybe splitting it or do something where it's a little different to help your chances out, even if it's a gamble for a yellow. So we'll have to keep an eye there. Here's Nick DeGroot. Oh man, I think if he didn't touch the outside wall there, he was as close as he could be. But so here's my question for you now, Andrew. You know that Eckert's gone. Do you try to say, hey, let's try the swap draft to see if we can catch him? Or is Nick thinking, you know what, I'm probably quicker than Mark right now. Let me see if I can just get by him and chase him down. I mean, what do you do here if you're these two in second and third?
If there's a good understanding between the two drivers, you could definitely take that strategy, see if you could try and work together in a swap draft mode, but it's very hard to pull it off here. You really need to have the right gaps entering the back straightaway, entering the front straightaway. So with the way these cars are driving, with all this push that you see out of turn 4 especially, it's going to be very hard to achieve that. But I could see them giving it some sort of try if they're able to have an understanding between the two of them. Hey, let's see if we can make ourselves a little bit faster being 2 cars versus 1 and catch the leaders. But I think the bet is made right now, and I think the only way they're really going to catch him is if they try and do an early pit stop and hopefully come out in some draft where they can do a couple of quick laps after their pit stop. And as you can see, Nick is starting to fall back a little bit now, so he may have used his tires up quite a bit there.
Yeah, I saw Casey Behutsky hit pit road, and again, so there's going to be a handful of drivers that are going to have to pit early. That's going to be these guys here: Chris Stouffer, Jeff Heisong, Gary Laverne, Hugo Galaz, Bill Colley. They'll be the first to hit pit road because they all pitted in the 43 to 46 window. And again, we talked about that window being in that 45 to 55 lap margin. So expect to see those guys in soon. Here comes Mason Mitchum. He's going to jump in early. So here's some gamblers now. They decide, you know what, let's try short pitting. And I'm going to say maybe a little too early in my mind, because, I mean, this is only about 20-ish laps or so since they originally pitted. So I feel like if you're going to split it, you got to go to, honestly, probably about a lap 100, 105. I think I'd feel a little more comfortable doing.
You can kind of split it either way. You can take the risk and do it early and split it like you had said, or you can just run the fuel out completely and see where that puts you. But you're going to have a lot worse tires at the end of the run than if you had tried it early.
Yeah, I mean, again, these cars like to be light on fuel too, so that's where I would think, even, and also just to avoid the gamble. Also, Bill Colley is in now as well. And like we mentioned, I'd say he is one we expected just due to the when they all pitted. But you can see here's Joe Branch. He's just gotten around Edson, so like you mentioned, starting to fall just a little further back and back. But he's going to have a little bit of breathing room now to Jason Collins, who's about 1.2 seconds back, with a good battle here with Sam Cosner and Frank Irwin Jr. there for that top 10 spot. Now Sam getting it.
I'm trying to see. I believe Eric Peterson is back on the lead lap again. I'm coming back to the field here. He made his way up to
caution's out. I think it is the 8 car who has just taken a tow. So caution is out. So unfortunately, the short pit strategy wasn't a lot of drivers. I think Mason Mitchum was one of the only of the lead lappers, I believe, that did it. So he's unfortunately going to get caught out on that one. So now, though, yeah, I mean, now you're in the window here. I think pretty much. I mean, like you mentioned too, this is a great break for. Actually, I think it's going to be Chris Stouffer. I think this is going to put him back onto the lead lap because Ahead of him was Eric Schaus, who was still on the lead lap. So I think this will get Chris back to the front. And then I'm curious, what do you do again now if you're Craig Forsyth? You pitted at 57. The leaders pitted at 70. So you're, 13 lap deficit? Do you take the gamble again? Maybe stay out one more time? So we'll have to keep an eye on him, but leaders on pit road.
You'd have to really hope for a quick yellow here, because if he pit on 57, then he's due for a pit stop in the next like 5 or 6 laps or so.
Oh yeah. So actually, it was right on edge then for the leader, or for the guys that took the wave round. So that was almost too good to be true, if you will. I can tell you, I see the 13. He is going right around the lap cars there, or around the pace car, I'm sorry, to get his lap back. You see right lockstep are the 64 and the 69 onto pit road. Here comes the 20. And it looks like these guys are going to hold serve here. So top 5 should not change. What we haven't had a chance to do here, though, Andrew, is we got to show off our wonderful sponsors, and that's going to be 4D Raceware. So we'll be right back. We'll bring it back with the one to go. Stay tuned.
4D Raceware, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4draceware.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, lights are off of the pace car, and we've got a little bit of a strategy here. Eric Schaus last pitted at 65. Everybody behind him now pitting at 67. So he's still got a pit to the end. Say everybody else is good to go here to the end. So I'm not sure on the strategy on this one here. He can go again. He can probably go another 10, maybe 15 laps, I would guess here, Andrew. But what it also did, though, is it definitely trapped a few drivers from getting a wave around there. So don't know for sure if they would have pitted or not, but you see Mason Mitchum there. He's stuck behind Eric because Eric didn't pit. So basically, first place is Schaus. Second is the third car in line of Raphael Eckert. Then you got Mark Murphy, Nick DeGroot, and then Matt Wagner are top 5. So once again, 72 car, he is our control car. So once that pace car is off, he can drop as soon as he is ready. Then everybody else has to be ready to react behind him. So as they come out onto the front stretch, he is down and away. And we're back here going 35 to go at the line.
Yeah, I spent some time trying to figure out what Schaus' strategy is here. I can't think of anything that would get him a win. If anything, you're right, he has to pit one more time. So let's say there's a caution, he'll fall to the back, but he will have the freshest tires. But if he has to pit under green, he's going to lose a lap. So not really sure what the strategy is there, but we'll see how he fares.
Yeah, and it might be one of those like, hey, if the caution falls at just the right time, it's going to be perfect. But right now you see Eckert, though, he's going to take the point or try to, he'll take the point. There are no dramas. And this is also a really good opportunity for Eckert. Oh, tight there out of 2, able to keep it pointed straight. But, I mean, look right now. Schauss has the older tires. He's got clean air now. He's got a lapper as well there with the 3 car. So Mark Murphy's got a lot of work to do because we just saw before Eckert, I mean, he pretty much set sail and ran away from the field. So this has definitely got a really good opportunity here for Rafael to kind of just ditch everybody here and run away with this thing. Should we stay green? Oh, 3 just cut the wall out of 2.
Yep, just touched the wall there. I think that actually hurt the car quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. He kind of dug the right front into the wall there. So fortunate for him, he was trying to get his lap back, but that's just a matter of getting the wrong dirty air at the wrong time, and that just pushed the car right up there. So unfortunate for him, but I mean, he had to go for it anyway, right? Because he was a lap down. He had to be the front car in case the caution came out in order to get his race back in order. So fortunately for Mason, it looks like his top 10 run that he had is pretty much done now.
Yeah, I mean, again, right now he is still in the lucky dog position by about 4 seconds over Hugo Galaz, because here's Hugo. He did pit, and saying again, Mason, he pitted. Actually, it was only 5-lap difference, so right now Mason's actually still in a really good spot to have a chance to get that lucky dog back should a caution come out, which right now there's a lot of action going on throughout the field here. You see Jim Herrick there. He's got Joseph Morales. Haven't talked about Joseph much tonight. Right now he's in that 60 car. He is up 12 spots from where he started. I think he's just kind of had a quiet, steady night here so far tonight in that 60. And yeah, do need to apologize if we don't have a chance to talk about you much this evening. There's a lot of cars here, so we may not catch all of it. And that's the issue. While we were looking at that, we had a lead change. Mark Murphy got around Rafael Eckert. Nick DeGroot's caught these guys as well. And I say it's getting time to get dicey here, looks like, up front.
Looks like Jason Collins is now fallen out of the top 10 from his P10 or 11 spot that he was running in before.
Oh, I think Jeff Heisung had a moment there. So I saw showed him go off track. I think he's just disconnected. We'll take a look here on the replay. Go full speed. Oh, yeah, just catches the wall, and that just puts him along for the ride there. So unfortunately, though, that was, I think, pretty much, I'm guessing, night over for him. So we'll jump back up front, though, because as you can see, we're still side by side for the lead.
I think Nick DeGroot is planning something here. You can see he's kind of taking every lane possible to try and get some sort of advantage on these top 2 here, but I don't think he can quite show his cards yet, but time is coming. Nick DeGroot is never anyone you want to count out, especially on these 1.5-mile ovals.
No, it's exactly like you said. He's always got something up his sleeve. You just don't know when and where you're going to see it. So right now, you can see he's just hunting for clean air on the front wing of that number 89. And you can see, look at these. Oh, my goodness, how close they are there. The 64, they're trying to jump lanes to figure out some way to get around Mark Murphy. Mark Murphy now ready to protect the inside line. Yeah, like I said, these guys know that track position is going to be the big thing here now to the end.
If I was Nick DeGroot, I'd probably try and set it up on the back straightaway to try and see if there's any way that Murphy leaves some sort of inside line here to poke him off that inside line. But I think Eckert is really just kind of stealing all of Murphy's attention right now, so he's just kind of automatically going right to the bottom line on the back straightaway there and not giving DeGroot any sort of opportunity to try and find any spot here. And any slip up from Eckert, then DeGroot's going to pounce on it.
And you can see right now with the lines that Eckert's running, there you go, DeGroot. He enters high, but then you see with Eckert kind of drifting up a little bit, then he'll cut back down low. So, and right there, just about Eckert almost was able to clear the 69 car Mark Murphy. And that, to me, tells everything you know. There is a way you can get to the outside, and look right there at the line. Eckert would have had the lead at the start-finish line. So holding the inside line may not be the way to go to guarantee a win in this race. You can see there is definitely a very viable outside lane. And once again, you see Rafael getting a great run. Look at Nick, huge run, backs out of it. Yeah, Nick's just testing what he can do here, I think.
Still waiting to see when Schaus is going to take his pit stop here. That's pretty much the only real excitement we're going to see up at the front in terms of position changes, unless some of these guys really get their act together and start making their way to the top 3. But you can see that top 3 has broken away from Matt Wagner quite a bit. So it's really going to be these top 3 guys that are going to try and go for the win.
Yeah, right now this definitely does seem to be the battle. I mean, there's still lots of battles going on here. You see just a teeny bit further back there, you've got Sam Cosner, Nick Wheeler, Edson Santos. He's trying to recover from his kind of hiccups in that previous run. Looks like he's starting to recover fairly nicely from it, I have to say. So these guys still again, there's lots to fight for. This is all just inside the top 10 here. And then a little further back there, we haven't, like I said, some drivers we haven't had a chance to talk too much about. You have Dustin Logston in the 81 in 22nd. His teammate in the 41, Jeremy Stanley, up into the 20th spot just ahead of him. So, and then Elmer Joseph as well in the 66 right now, fighting there as well. He's had still, I mean, he's +8 from where he started. So, like I said, some of these guys having a good run. Jump up to 32. Shane Coker up 3 spots from his starting spot, but right in the thick of this battle here. I mean, where you look, I mean, these guys are all within a couple tenths of each other from pretty much 5th all the way back to about 17th.
Looks like Eckert has taken the lead from Murphy. Eckert really put his car right up along the wall in turn 4 there and somehow was able to clear it. So good move from Eckert there to take the lead, but DeGroot's still lurking in the background there. And I think Murphy might have burned off some of his equipment here. So let's see if he could hold on to that second spot. Otherwise, Nick is ready to pounce.
Yeah, and I think that's the next thing, like you said, is if we see Eckert able to kind of run away with it like he did earlier as the run went on, then yeah, that's where DeGroot's going to have to say, okay, I got to start to push now. I can't stay in that dirty air of Mark Murphy for too long. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to play for here, and you can see Nick already starting to kind of get that rim riding a little more. He's getting a big run. Yeah, I think he knows this is time to go.
Once he plants his car on the outside, he should have this spot exiting 2. He did touch the wall.
Yeah, it cost him some spot there.
He had a little wiggle in the middle 1 and 2 as well. That's going to hurt his exit speed. But look, he's got quite a bit of entry speed into 3, but doesn't really go for it there.
I think he wants to run that top side, but yeah, I think he caught the wall on entry, just kind of hugged it a little too high, and that cost him a ton of momentum. So unfortunately, he's got to regroup and try again. But while all that's been happening, again, just kisses the wall there out of entering 1 and 2. So again, you can say he's not just taking it easy. He is going for all of it, and it just hasn't gone so far his way. And while they've been fighting, Matt Wagner's starting to creep back up into this mix.
Trying to see, I'm watching a battle with Joe Branch and Hobson back here with Eric Schaus, who still has managed to stay out. But I think Schaus is going to have his top 10 run end here very soon once he has to pit.
Yeah, I'm impressed with how far he's gone. I would have never expected to be that far. And I mean, you can see right now he's running the second lane, so that means he's not coming in this time around. So again, I mean, he's bringing it down to 15 to go here. Again, he last pitted at lap 65, so that's an impressive fuel run he's got going on. But we're seeing kind of what I mentioned earlier. Right now, Rafael Eckert, he's starting to run away with this thing. And like I said, I think Nick probably used his stuff up a little bit too much. And like I said, I think Matt's been taking care of his stuff the opening section of this one, and now he's going to try to grab that podium spot. And here comes Schaus pit. Yep.
I just caught a glimpse of Dustin Logston entering the pits without a right front tire, so something must have happened to him along the way. But no caution there, which is good for the racing segment part of things here. Matt Wagner is definitely starting to make some hay now on Nick DeGroot. I think he might have just tried to save some of his stuff to the end of the race, and it's paying off for him now as he's going for a podium spot.
Yeah, so this would be 2 podiums in a row for Matt if he's able to do it. And I said this is one of those ones that it's going to be one that feels good for him too, because I mean, when you're going to try to beat somebody, it's like, who would you want to beat on the IndyCar side of things? I say not a knock to Rafael or Mark Murphy, but for those that have raced Area 51 for seasons, pretty much everybody's going to be pointing at Nick DeGroot, I think, because I mean, he has been always one of the guys to beat week in and week out whenever he's here. So again, this is, I think, race number 2 for Mark Murphy with Area 51. He's obviously won last week, running second now. We know Raphael's up front a lot too, so not a knock on those guys, but it's just one of those things where when you race with somebody so much, yeah, it's just one of those things that you're like, all right, I got to try to get around this guy. But do need to mention for Eric Schaus, unfortunately, was too hot on entry, 48 seconds, had a 40-second hold. So that dropped him from that top 10 you're talking about all the way back to 26. So that's a tough one to happen with less than 15 to go.
I actually thought you were going to say the person you want to pass on this track is Andrew Wood, but Andrew Wood is not racing anymore, so
we'll get you back out there.
He is on the track.
Yeah, but I mean, I got to see some of your, especially I feel like I remember Loudon was one of your monster tracks where we'd be watching. It's like, how is he doing those things? So right now, this is a good battle here, though, Andrew, with Joe Branch, A.G. Hobson. This is actually for a top 5, so obviously still a lot to fight for these guys. Just a little further back, just outside the top 10, I've been watching Joseph Morales and Daniel Ferguson. Been keeping an eye on them. They've been having a good little battle, too. And then right here in front as well, you've got Sam Cosner just ahead of Frank Irwin Jr., just ahead of Shane Coker. I mean, there's a lot of big battles in this group right here. Oh, caution out. Oh, the 41 car. Yeah, Jeremy Stanley. That is missing a left front, and it's still going to be plenty of time to get a restart in, so this race is not over here. Because again, there are no green-white checkers on this one, but let's go back and see what exactly happened to Jeremy. I'm not sure if it's a pit entry gone wrong, or he may have had a visit with Gary Laverne here, as they're both running up as high as they can. Yeah, they're fighting for the same real estate there. You see Gary. Does Gary save this car?
Looks like Gary saved it.
Wow. I don't know how you can hang on to something like that, especially with these cars. Like stock cars, I see it from time to time, but yeah, that was an impressive save. And then, yeah, right there's the apron or the banking transition. That shows you what it can do. So that's going to put us back under yellow. It's strategy time now, Andrew.
Another question. Yes, I was just going to say Eric Schaus wished that caution had come out maybe 5 laps earlier, because I guarantee if it was 5 laps earlier, the whole field would have come down and taken that last set of tires available to them. But yeah, we have some takers, but most people are staying out right now.
Yeah, a lot of drivers staying out. So Joe Branch is going to be the first of those to pit. He gave up just inside the top 10, so we'll see how far back he falls. And the other thing, too, on this is tire temperature, in my opinion, Andrew. It's going to take a lap or two to get some temperature in those tires to really get them to start gripping. So it's hard to say how this is going to go for him. You see, he should safely be the first car in and out. And it looks like he's going to come out in the 13th position. So I think that's probably about a net loss of 5 spots, we'll say. So we'll try to keep an eye and see where it all winds down. But pretty much from here, though, it's going to be basically I think this will be the final restart just based on the lap counts and everything. So, and also trying to dig to see our wave around car.
Mitchum got the lucky dog. So like you mentioned before, he was the first car lap down. So you're right that his race did kind of come back to him, but he's not going to have enough time to really make up all but maybe 1 or 2 spots if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, I'm trying to see because I'm showing Peterson right now as the last car on the lead lap. I'm wondering if maybe Peterson had got trapped one down, and so he's been able to wave back by.
I believe Peterson pit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. He pitted on 129. Yeah, so I'm not 100%. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure who the lucky dog was going to be in this one.
It was Mason.
It was Mason? Okay.
Yeah, Mason ran on the pace car.
Okay, so yeah, so that's like it's unfortunate. Oh, we got one smoke in there as well. Who's trying to check what car that one is? I think that's it's right behind Mason Mitchell. Is that Steve? Oh, it's Steve Rada. He's just had no luck tonight. I say that car blows the motor while sitting on pit road too. That's one of those. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna write tonight off.
Yeah, let's come back next week and rack them up again.
Yeah. All right. So strategy-wise, top 12 cars did not pit. Joe Branch, first of those that did pit. But, I mean, it's a significant difference. So, again, we're not going to have a lot of time left. We'll restart, I believe, with 4 to go. And so, obviously, for Joe Branch, he's thinking just run these laps under green. Do not have a quick yellow. I wanted to see what I can do with them. Because it's a 30-lap tire difference here, Andrew. I mean, that's, like I said, once they get to temperature, he might be hauling the mail here.
Checking out any of these cars that might have some damage up front. I don't see any right now. Nick Group might have a crunch side pod here, it looks like. So he may drop a tad. Otherwise, yeah, like we had mentioned before, it's one of those things where the cars are going to take a lap or two to kind of rack back up again, but I don't think it's going to be enough time for any big moves to be made. So we'll have to see what happens here. I think it's all going to come down to the restart as well. Like if Rafi Eckert gets a good restart, manages to kind of maintain pace and hold that bottom line on the first few laps here, I think the tire temperature will come into effect a little bit if we had maybe one more lap after, but it's going to be a quick 4 laps here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to go by quick. That said, though, obviously all the tires are going to be cooling off as well for our leaders. And, I mean, honestly, for me, Mark Murphy, I mean, this is kind of, you're getting a new chance at this because I always feel the leaders are the most susceptible on the restart because if they get a good jump on you, you're going to get that huge toe down the backstretch and maybe have a chance to make a move. So we'll have to see what Rafael does. We'll see when he decides to go. He's going to go early. And we are back underway here, 4 to go at the line. We'll see if we can get this one done to the white flag. If there's yellow before then, that may be race over. So we'll see what these guys have in these remaining 4 laps.
Some of the guys back in 15th, 16th area stacked up a little bit. All these guys that pit, Joe Branch and the like. So they may have lost their opportunity, especially if they can't get it wound up in the next 2 laps or so. But it may not have been the best strategy to put yourself all the way in the back.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, let's say Mark hasn't been able to do much yet. He's still about 3/10 off. You see Edson, he's running the outside line. We got AJ Hobson, Nick Wheeler. They're having a good little battle. You mentioned Nick to Group, maybe holding some damage. Oh, my, look at these 2 guys go after it.
Yeah, he hit the wall again also at the end of the lap at the exit of 4, so it's definitely it's bent up now.
Then you mentioned Joe Branch. He is right there on the inside line. He's trying to fight with Daniel Ferguson. We're 2 to go. Let's jump back up front, though. Mark Murphy, he's closing the gap here.
This whole back, all these tire takers are all kind of stepping over each other, and they're not able to make any progress here. So it was the poor strategy to do a tire stop here at the end here and lose that track position. But some of the beneficiaries are those that didn't pit behind them. Looks like Rafael Eckert is pretty much deserves this win tonight if he could hold it for another lap. He's been the fastest car for sure. Murphy kind of gave him a little bit of run for his money, but he definitely didn't have any slip-ups tonight other than a couple of the tight battles with Murphy.
Yeah, I know, and like you said too, I mean, even on these older tires, that restart, just no mistakes by Rafael here. He's going to come out of 4. He's going to get the win here at Kansas. Mark Murphy in second. Matt Wagner going to bring home another podium here tonight in third. And then same for Mark Murphy. That's going to be first and second for Mark. I think 2/3 for Matt, if I'm not mistaken. And then, yeah, for those that made the pit stops, Joe Branch is going to be the first of those up to 10th. And then Duty mentioned Chris Stouffer. Again, he's had a really tough night. He did recover all the way to 11th, which ironically enough is exactly where he started. But, I mean, again, he had to fight all race long to get there. But it's this guy right here that's going to get the win this evening.
Yeah, actually, there was a spin on the last lap too.
Yeah, I think it was. Unfortunately, it was Rafael's teammate there, Ensign Santos.
Yeah, it was Coker and Santos. Sorry, it was actually Coker and Ferguson had contact there exiting turn 2. It looks like Coker washed up and Ferguson kind of got boxed into the wall, and that caused complete mayhem down the back straightaway for all the guys that were battling from P9 all the way backwards. So,
oh man, yeah, we'll go back. We'll take a look. Of course,
yeah,
got to show the celebrations first for our race winner. I think it looks like he's done this a time or two because that's looking pretty controlled.
Yeah, he knows how to put on a show, absolutely, for sure there. So good on him for the race that he ran tonight, and can't wait to talk to him.
All right, so let's go back here. We're going to check back on the replay. So I believe initially there was an issue with Edson Santos. I'm not sure if it was a head or not, so we'll speed it up a little bit. Oh, yeah, right there. He just catches the wall. Oh, actually, no, there's what you're talking about. Let's go a little further back here because, yeah, you just mentioned there was a lot happening here. So we'll back it up again. So these are the two drivers you were just referring to there. You got the 32 Shane Coker. And then to the outside was, who was the other car again?
That was Ferguson.
Oh, yeah, you're right though. Just at that point, yeah, there's not going to be much give being done by anybody, and then everybody's just trying to sneak out there. I think Frank Irwin, you see the car showing damage. I think it's going to get magically repaired here. But yeah, I mean, look at these guys all just trying to sneak by. Look at that 93 there. Baron Glover makes a sharp left to avoid those guys, and then you see Mason Mitchum. Oh man, almost drives under him.
Just
if anything,
right underneath the roll hoop there. Yeah, so that was quite a chaotic last lap for these guys going for P9, 10, 11, 12, and everyone that avoided that definitely deserved the finishing positions that they got there. So
yeah, it's unfortunate for
guys.
Edson. Say he wasn't involved and he got the worst of those guys. I think he fell at least 5 spots from that incident though. So yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of again those last lap wrecks. I mean, you're going to try to get all you can in those. So that's definitely what we saw there at the very end. So we will jump back live, though. We're going to pull up our final results before we get to those interviews, though, Andrew. And it is going to be, like you said, it's going to be Rafael Eckert getting the win tonight over Mark Murphy, Matt Wagner. Again, those are 2 podiums in a row for those 2 drivers. Nick DeGroot and Nick Wheeler are top 5. Continuing down, you've got AJ Hobson, Sam Cosner, Joseph Morales, Frank Irwin Jr., and Joe Branch are top 10. And also got to give a big shout out to Joseph Morales as well there, Andrew. Plus 19 spots up into that 8th spot. So great job by Joseph. We talked about he was just kind of minding his own business and staying out of trouble. And he was able to make the right call, like you said, staying out. And that was definitely a great decision by him. Continuing down, then you got Chris Stouffer. Again, a tough night, but fought all night long for an 11th. Same for Jim Herrick, Jason Collins, Eric Peterson, Elmer Joseph there in the top 15. Mason Mitchum got back in lead lap, able to grab a few more spots there at the very end. Then Baron Glover and Daniel Ferguson in 17th, 18th. And then those are the last cars on the lead lap. And then unfortunately, those trapped a lap or more down, including that last lap incident. Shane Coker, Edson Santos, Hugo Galaz, Gary Laverne, and then Bill Colley, Craig Forsyth, just not their nights. And then early retirements for Casey Pahutsky, Jeremy Stanley, Eric Schaus, and Dustin Logston. And then our last couple spots as well, tough nights as well for Jeff Heisong. And we mentioned for Steve Rada, just even the car's engine was blowing up in the pit road. So, like I said, that's one of those ones. Put that one in your rear view mirror and go forward to the next one.
I think I'm most impressed by Joseph Morales there. Like you said, mind your own business, and I would say probably 60 to 70% of the time that still just nets you a 20th place position. But on a chaotic race like this, especially when it comes down to a strategy call at the end, sometimes that staying quiet and doing whatever you can to just keep doing what you know how to do, and that's drive. And next thing you know, you find yourself in a top 10. So good job for him.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job. But you mentioned drivers that stay quiet. That's not this guy here. That's going to be another podium for this Matt Wagner fella. Does the admin work on the back end, did all the recruiting, and still gets to drive and still shows that he does know how to turn left a little bit in these oval tracks. But Matt, it was a tough one tonight. I mean, the track temp, I mean, I'm looking, I didn't even think about it during the race, but I mean, it got up to 127, it looks like at the moment. Mm-hmm. It was toasty tonight. Obviously, the strategy came into play, no tires at the end. It seemed like you were probably about I'll say not a knock on you, but kind of the best of the rest with the Rafael, Mark Murphy, and I think at times I would say Edson Santos, Nick DeGroot. I mean, it looked like you're right around that 4th, 5th place pretty much most of the night. I mean, was there more of the car you just didn't get to use, or did they have some little magical settings that you wish you had?
Probably some magical settings I wish I had, but me and Mark is a genius when it comes to settings like that, and I try them out, and they seem fairly decent, really good actually. So I went with that. I can't tell you on stream. That's kind of like, so it was quite interesting. The dirty air played a really role. I didn't expect the track temp to come up that high, and when I've done it testing the setup, it only got up to about 120 even, but it's still a little staggering hot. But it kind of made you drive a little bit differently. Uh, Probably not full song all the way, just trying to avoid the dirty air, lifting in the corners. And we were about like you said, we're about fourth, fifth place, and turn up the wick a little bit toward the end. I felt like I had a little bit more speed than Mark at the time when I was catching him a little bit until that caution came out. I wanted to see if I can get to him if we had stayed green the whole way. Uh, Too bad that last caution just kind of uh, happened there, and I was kind of really disappointed with 5 to go. I wanted to see if I can get second there, but I know Mark is going to pick up a pretty good fight. He's a very good, talented racer. I'm not going to hold him back on him.
So you have 2 podiums on the season now, Matt, which is probably something that you've wished you had in the past, especially when it comes to the close of the season and you're trying to close up on the points battle. So is there anything different? And you mentioned Mark as maybe some sort of uh, kick in the rear for you. Is there anything that you can attribute to what's brought you up into the podium now for 2 races, especially now with a car count that's incredibly higher than we're used to? How do you do it?
I, I learn off him. That's just point in day. There's some stuff that he's very talented in, and then I really I take in and I soak in all the information. I just try to put it to the track here, and the results are showing, and it really is. Um, Usually in the past, you know how I get a little bit too greedy, go with the adjustments, just trying to burn my stuff up, just quicker than everybody else, and then start falling way to the back, um, and just get frustrated at that point. And I kind of learned from him just to be more patient. Uh, as Mark would say, make yourself known at the end. I was sitting there riding, what, fourth, fifth, pretty much the whole race. And here I am with the podium in third. Almost got second till that caution came out. So it's fun. It's really, I'm having a blast.
Well, I was saying, you mentioned, let's say, kind of making yourself not known. Let's say I'm looking at the incident reports too, and right now you and Joseph Morales are the only drivers that I see in the top 10 in points that have run both races that have had an incident point free season in the first 2 races. So I mean, obviously that's always one of those things.
I'd love to see that.
Those couple extra bonus points go a long way for you and for Joseph as well. So I mean, again, one of those little things that maybe kind of that stick in your cap, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I'd say it's been a great start to the season. And I'm gonna say too, I see the I wouldn't say attitude change, but I feel like usually a second and third place finish for you, I feel the frustration. Andrew, you might be the same, but now it's and maybe it's the car count, I'm not sure, but now it's really, you're way more upbeat about these podium finishes. So is it just, again, maybe just a change in kind of how you're taking things, or is it just like you said, maybe you're getting more than where you were in the race itself?
Oh, so there's been a couple of races in the past that I've learned as what Mark runs, and Mark runs the VOR series. I ran in there before. There's been a couple of races where I shot myself in the foot, and then I look back on it and I say, well, what can I have done better? I put the same thing toward here. Maybe that attitude that I'm trying to take now is trying to just trying to finish good places, man. When no matter where you're at, you just got to finish the race. You can't finish with a DNF. You have to put yourself in position toward the end of the race. It's that mentality. You have to have that. The first thing is the fuel save. Actually, I learned that from Craig. Mr. Fuel Safe, and I try and take into account for that. See what he's doing. I try to replicate that, and Mark has been trying to do the same. So it's like I said, I'm having the time of life. I feel a lot better. I'm not disappointed with third. I'm ecstatic with third. It was fun out there. I had a blast with racing Nick. It's good to see Nick up there toward the front. Too bad he caught the wall. I would have taken a fourth anyway, but overall, it's the performances have been shown. The results are showing. So we'll see as the schedule goes deeper as we get into April. We'll see if I'm up there.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Matt, again, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that podium here this evening.
Alrighty. Andrew, it's good to see you back in the broadcast booth. Your knowledge is very good, and probably helping Guile up there in the booth is good to see you, buddy.
I need all help I can get, and it's also it's homeowner Andrew to you, sir.
Oh, did you buy a new home, sir? Is he there?
He didn't want me to tell you. He may have stepped away.
I'll pick on him later. That's okay.
Go
he
give
can
him
do
a
his
hard time
thing.
after.
Yeah, he can do his thing. I'd like to thank the folks at TWRS, Votive Racing League, and Area 51 and all the admins. Thanks, shout out to all the drivers out there once again for the great car count, and I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
All right, good job, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump one spot further forward, and that is going to be the number 69 of Mark Murphy. So we're going to drag Mark on in over here, and bringing home a win last week, a runner-up this week. I mean, I'll say it's probably not too bad of a position to be in for yourself. And, I mean, was it just a case of maybe not having the long run pace tonight, or I mean, what did it feel like to you was the difference tonight? Because I mean, it seemed like short run you were dicing it up with anybody and everybody, but then towards the second half of the fuel runs, to me at least, it seemed like the 64 just had another gear almost. I mean, what was it from your point of view on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, shout out to Matty Wags, cool dude. Always so much fun racing with him. No, I mean, I think it was just on that last run there, Rafi and I got fighting pretty hard for the lead, and when he made some pretty aggressive moves to get clear, and we caught a face full of dirty air and really hurt the right front pretty bad. And once you cook one of the tires on these things, especially at a banked mile and a half, it's very difficult to get them cooled back off again. And full credit to him. I mean, he picked. He knew that I would lift, and I did. And from there, just cooked the tires bad, and I couldn't get back to him. And even we toyed with the idea of pitting under that last yellow. And I think if Matt and I would have dove down pit road, the entire field would have come. But then, you're always at risk of, if I pit here and nobody else does, I'm going to finish 15th. And, Matt and I are trying to run for a championship. And so, at that point it's, well, they're going to cool off enough. Maybe I can make a run at it in the last, couple of laps. And I went down a turn into turn one and just had no right front left. So, full kudos to Rafi. He won it with style, and, fun being second and having the points lead and running up front and going fast, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I was saying that was definitely something you did, and I'll say I'm not going to step over you, Andrew, so I'll let you get to it here.
Yeah, Mark, how prepared were you for some green flag pit stops tonight? I know we didn't get any, so I know pitting on these 1.5 milers especially is pretty difficult in order to, get in safely. And we saw a couple of drivers that had to, that went off strategy and did their green flag pit stops and a couple speeding penalties. So were you prepared for that? Were you expecting that it would be a caution pit stop sort of race, or how difficult are these pit entries for how you guys are driving on the setup?
I mean, they're very difficult, just because you almost, no matter what you do, you're going to lock one of the fronts up pretty much no matter what, no matter where you put the bias. I was prepared to do a green flag stop. I ran the officials are here this week too. And so I got a chance to run the top split race earlier. Cost myself the race because I had to make a green flag pit stop, but I'd run 70 laps here just in the officials, and this setup was pretty close to that. Track temp was pretty similar, but I was fully prepared to make it. I'm probably one of the people that is a little bit more conservative on the pit road, so not I'm not worried about speeding or anything. Learned my lesson at Indianapolis a few years ago. Wound up losing a race to Rob because I sped on pit road. So you just I was prepared for it, but thankfully it's always nice to pit under caution for sure. You don't have to worry about it. But no, I was ready for it. No worries.
No, I mean, it was like I said, it was a great run for you, and dirty air definitely is not a fun thing in these cars, but like you said, I'm going for the overall title. Start the season with a first and a second. Obviously, a great way to kick it off, man. So, looking forward to see what you got for these guys the rest of the season. Obviously, you got plenty of time to go. But before we let you go, of course, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shout outs for that runner up tonight.
Yeah, shout out to everybody at Area 51, man. This thing's a blast. My social media, I call it Twin Bill Tuesdays because we run the top split stuff over on P1 and then come here and do this. So first of all, shout out to my wife who doesn't get to see me from about 6:30 until midnight or later every Tuesday night. She's a saint, so thanks Natalie for letting me do this. All kudos to Matty Wags too, man. That dude's so much fun to race with, and I get a giant bang out of him. Mark Cohn too. I know the Watchman's not been here, but he's still got some computer issues. But I know Mark's watching at home, and as soon as we get that PC of his fixed, if I gotta go out to California with a hammer, I'll get it fixed for him. We'll get him back in the car. Everybody at Indy Alliance Racing, so the whole crew over there from Jesper and Seb and Sam and Kevin, Chris, Matt, Oliver, Rashad, Tom, Will. It's an absolute blast racing with you guys. I've learned so much that I don't know if I'll ever be able to repay those guys. They're just a blast to be around, a blast to race with. Thanks to P1 Broadcasting, Garrett Godso, Andy Dunwoody over at Black Magic Studios, Donald Fisher at Admin Box. Those people are all awesome, and I appreciate their support more than they'll ever know. And I know my dad has watched 2 Pixel car races tonight, so happy Tuesday, Pops. We did a little bit better in this one spot short, and we'll see if we can't come back and do better next week in Michigan, man. I love Michigan so much, so we'll see if we can't do a little bit better there.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun one, man. So, but yeah, great job tonight. Looking forward to see what you got for these guys the rest of the season, and I'll let you go enjoy this one.
Yeah, man. Keep going fast and having fun, boys.
All right, Andrew, that is Mark Murphy, our runner-up tonight. So unfortunately won't get an interview with Raphael. However, he chimed in over on the YouTube, and he says, because he's got to go to bed, I say he's got a different time zone than us, but he was really happy with the combo. And yeah, he said managing tires made the difference today. And then, his win tonight dedicated to all the leaner partners, especially to Chemist Sim Racing. So great job, Raphael, again, on getting that win. And I did poke around on the chats and was able to find, we were asking about the Craig Forsyth incident on turn 1. And yeah, lots of apologies were said, which that's Craig to a T. And he just didn't realize that Christopher was down low and just kind of turned in thinking that there was no 13 car there, unfortunately. And that's what got Craig and a number of those other guys. But yeah, literally had the full on list of the drivers he was making apologies to. And again, we know Craig. He's a class act guy. So, those are ones that definitely kind of sting for him.
Yeah, it could happen to anyone. I've been in those situations myself. I remember an incident I had most recently in the last year at Auto Club Speedway. Same thing, very start of the race, and I thought I had cleared the car that I had started next to, and when I came up the track, I just completely wiped out or across the front of his nose and took about 4 or 5 people with me. And it's pretty much, I know exactly how Craig feels. It's like the most embarrassing thing that you can ever do. I believe Craig was in that race, so if he's listening, he knows exactly what I'm referring to. So just one of those things where you almost want to say, should I even race anymore after that? That was such a bonehead thing to do, but it can happen to anyone, and you just got to put it behind you, say your apologies. Everyone's going to understand, and then just go forward from there. So it's unfortunate for him, but I'm sure he'll be ready to bounce back next week.
Yeah, and like I said, that's one of those things where we're all our worst critics, and that's where then the people that were involved, like, hey man, it happens, all that, and yeah, it's one of those things. If I was on the opposing side, I'd be saying the same to him. Whereas if I was the one that did it, I'd be just beside myself for me doing it. So no, I totally get that, and yeah, I mean, and saying that's the thing is we all make mistakes. We're all human. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing this and all that. Things happen. So. But yeah, man, a great race tonight, and let's say we get to do it again. Like Mark said, I mean, it's Michigan next week. That's one of, I mean, again, I have like my 4 tracks: Michigan Auto Club, Indy Pocono. Like those are my favorite IndyCar tracks. So super excited to see what next week brings.
Yeah, these cars are going to be like Mark said, go fast, right? It's Michigan's one of those tracks where anyone can win. You could win from 28th on the grid. It's a little difficult to do it at Kansas. You have to have things kind of fall your way and get good restarts, get good starts and everything like that, and make sure you don't lose too much time and too much ground before the tires go off. So Michigan's one of those tracks where the fuel save is always on the table. People are always going to be saving the fuel. And if you want to go from 19th to 12th on one straightaway, they'll let you do it. So it's about putting your car in the right spot and trying to find the right strategy that gets you up towards the front for the end.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. Before that, though, Andrew, we get a little bit of a break on the Thursday side of things because there's Thanksgiving coming up. So, but yeah, for you, man, thank you so much for. I'm glad to have you back this week. Obviously, I know you've been a busy man on work side, on real life side of things. So, I was glad to have you back in the booth here tonight. And yeah, looking forward to many more races with you this season. But yeah, I hope you have a very, very happy Thanksgiving, a safe one as well. Of course, everybody also watching here on Green White Checker TV. Yeah, we'll be off on Thursday, of course, back on Sunday, and of course on Tuesday as well. So again, thank you all so much for watching, for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Good night, everybody.